So even in challenging economic times, the Republican Party has been able to count on donations from the Lincoln Club of Orange County. But now the organization is threatening to cut off the party.
An ultimatum, that's right. The Lincoln Club has issued that to GOP members of Congress, demanding a one-year moratorium on earmarks. Lincoln Club board member Chip Hanlon co-authored a letter along with Club President Rich Wagner. They released on the Red County website. Robert Novak picked it up, and that's all you need for it to penetrate Washington. A lot of us have heard this phrase, earmark.
Yeah, and I would be curious to know what it is, because not everybody may know.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Right. The earmark process is sort of, it's a way to add little baubles of spending to each year's budget in a way that sort of goes around the full floor voting and vetting process, right? It's a way that often these spending, these little dribs and drabs, congressperson by congressperson, add up. A few $100 million there, a few million there, you start talking about real money pretty soon, right? And so this idea for this one-year moratorium on earmarks, which have grown nearly 300% in the last 14 years, it was not ours. It's being proposed by a group of Republicans in D.C., the few that seem to have their heads screwed on straight with regards to spending, because we've all seen what's happened in the last few years.
Right. You're saying congressional members. It's not like a Grover Nordquist, an outside group, or a Lincoln Club. It started with congressional members, but you're backing it.
That's right. There's in 2000, we saw the election of George W. Bush, and we had control of Congress. As Republicans, we thought, here comes, great, we're going to see smaller government. And instead, we've seen federal spending grow at a rate that was even greater than when LBJ was in office, right? It's been a terrible frustration. We're all out here very upset, and yet there is still a group of Republicans within D.C. that understand that mistakes have been made and want to return the party to its small government roots. They're fighting to push this earmark reform, and our belief is that, while the earmark process may have a few spending items that are worthwhile, the process is so broken that this one-year moratorium would be a great statement that they really are getting back to of spending restraint.
Now, we know the famous examples, the Bridge to Nowhere in Alaska, the Center for Poultry Excellence down in but what you're saying then is, come November, you want every Republican that's in Congress and in the Senate to sign this 1 year, we will take no earmarks for our district.
It's actually floating out there and could be voted on by the Republican caucus at any time. Now, what we're suggesting is we'd like to see them do that as a statement to the American people that we understand why you fired us in November 2006, that if you want spending, out-of-control spending, then you should elect Democrats.
So it's really a similar moment to what maybe we had in, I don't know, let's say when Ronald Reagan was coming up. It's like you're saying we'd rather lose this election and try to reclaim what we think is the basic tenet of Republican, at least as far as spending goes, and that is we restrain spending.
It looks as though we'd say we want to lose this election. We don't buy into that notion, though. We don't believe that a rout in November is going to be good for the party. We believe that if the party leaders make a statement now that they understand they need to restrain spending, it will actually help them in November. But if they can't get their heads on right, then we are suggesting to other donor groups that come November 5th, the day after the election, they should consider cutting off Republicans.
And you know what that would do. Money's the mother's milk of politics. Right. Let me read to you just one comment, drawing a lot on, for instance, the Red County blog. Wow, what a moment of clarity. They agree with your move. I fear it's too late, and the goofy Dems will run the joint for a few cycles. Too bad about the Supreme Court. Very sad to see this happen. But the Republicans just refuse to see how corrupt they have become. So if they don't go along with what you and these other congressional members are proposing, and they get cut off from funds, there's going to be a lot of Democrats in power.
If they don't offer true spending restraint and a return to limited government, then what is it that they offer different from what was fired in November of 2006, and really what's different from what we would expect from Democrats? So why would we expect this current batch of leadership, if they can't get their heads on straight, to return us to the majority? What's the point of supporting a permanent minority?
Just real quick, we had, the Republican contract in '94 with Gingrich. They all signed it. Would you expect them all to sign this earmark moratorium?
Well, it would certainly be possible for the caucus, the entire Republican caucus, to vote for this earmark moratorium. But what's happening is some games are being played. Those that want to look on the Republican side as though they're pushing earmark reform are saying, okay, we'll sign this if the Democrats will as well. Well, they might as well say we'll sign it the next time the sun forgets to rise in the east.
Chip Hanlon, a complicated topic. Thank you very much for coming in. Chip Hanlon is a board member of the Lincoln Club. Thank you very much.